Hey everyone, welcome once again to our monthly news analyst webinar. So really glad you guys all could join us, and um, I know I've seen some repeat folks here, so some people that really like these. So glad you're all coming back. And just to do a quick round of intros as more folks here get on the line. Um, I'm Andrew Weber. I'm the Director of Insights here at Teikametrics. And with me here, we have Laura Pattison, who's the Manager of E-commerce Strategy out on our West Coast office in Seattle. And Megan Gleason and Kelsey Robb, who are each team leads on the e-commerce strategy team out in the East Coast in Boston. So thanks once again for joining. This is the power team right here. So glad you're all on the line. And yeah, we have a lot to get through today. So we'll probably just hop right to it since we only have 30 minutes. Want to keep us on time here. So just like a quick agenda, what we're going to be kind of going through. So the first story that we're going to be talking about today is specifically the Walmart Shopify integration. This dropped kind of towards the middle of last month, but kind of worth covering here. It's kind of big news. And additionally, this is something that just dropped yesterday, but Walmart launching an Amazon Prime competitor. This is getting a lot of press, and deservedly so. Then we'll go into some big style sale recap. You know, that just wrapped up late last month, and we just kind of have some exclusive data we're going to be sharing here that has not even been released yet, but I'm going to be sharing it with the folks on the call here. And then we're going to kind of wrap up most of the news items with Prime Day being delayed officially or unofficially through until October. And then finally, if we have time, we hope to get to some questions that we've been hearing kind of more pervasively from some of our seller base. But again, we'll get through as many of those as we can. We do want to keep this just to 30 minutes so that you folks can just really take this as lunch break, breakfast break, and then get back to your duties of the day. So first off is this story around Walmart partnering with Shopify to expand its online marketplace. So I want to kick it over to the group here about kind of what you guys maybe think about this, kind of any observations, then we can maybe go into the nuts and bolts about how this integration is working.
Yeah, I can kick us off with this. So one thing that you've probably seen coming out of a lot of e-commerce articles and news items is around diversification, especially as we've seen some things come up from COVID-related issues where Amazon might not be taking an inventory or maybe delayed in shipments. So having that diversification in your e-com channels from both Amazon, maybe into Walmart, maybe into other platforms is really important. So this is a great opportunity for any sellers that are on Shopify to expand into Walmart on their online selling platform. If you haven't heard, Teikametrics works directly with Walmart as one of their preferred partners for that. So we do have ad management as part of that. But this is really exciting. Anyone who's been on Shopify knows that those third-party integrations are key to being able to take advantage of that e-com landscape. Shopify is obviously a huge platform that a lot of sellers are on, and this is a great way for them to quickly sync into Walmart and be able to take advantage of that. Walmart did see on their e-commerce site last quarter 74% growth, which actually outpaced their overall business growth. So it's definitely something that is worth considering from a diversification standpoint. If you had any issues with delayed shipments getting out of Amazon over the COVID situation, that's definitely one way to do that. And then I think, Andrew, you have a couple of just like tips and tricks from the integration side of things that will make it a lot easier for selling on Walmart.
Yeah, so again, I want to share, these are some slides that Walmart and ourselves, we had a webinar that we hosted with them last month, and it was kind of just right in the wake of this Shopify news going live. So I kind of share with you in terms of the nuts and bolts of using this integration. So it's worth going into. So this is kind of how it works. Again, this is kind of a way, instead of going through the traditional process of getting your products up on Walmart Marketplace, which can be a little onerous, potentially, this is slightly, a little bit quicker and a little bit way, again, to, as kind of Kelsey mentioned, a way to kind of, it just smooths out a lot of the intricacies around potentially fulfillment, et cetera, that you may encounter. So right, you need to obviously install the Walmart app within the Shopify store. There are service providers that can kind of handle some of this, but this is just if you want to do it yourself. Right, there is obviously a review, terms of service, etc. And then you're going to need to complete this additional information within Seller Center, which is on Walmart specifically. And right now, essentially, your accounts are linked. But again, there may be still some review process associated with that, but just it is generally what we've seen a little bit quicker as opposed to going through the traditional marketplace application process. So the experience, right, is you can select the specific products you want to ingest into Walmart. And again, the good thing is about this is it simplifies some of the stuff around product content, again, around fulfillment. So some of that stuff that normally you'd have to replicate within Walmart proper, some of the stuff gets ingested via Spotify rather. So Spotify, Shopify. I'm getting all the FIs mixed up. So there's good stuff here, and I think it's definitely worth looking into when, again, if you already have a Shopify site, this is a great way to expand channel. It's the simplest way, channel expansion being, of just really just expanding your potential sales, right? As opposed to, let's say, developing a new product, right? By pushing to a new marketplace, you really open yourselves up to this whole new group of consumers. So definitely worth looking into here. That's pretty much it. So I also encourage you, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, we do have that webinar with Walmart on our site, kind of archived. So feel free to take a look at that. It's at learn.teikametrics.com. You can take a peek at that and kind of read through their full comments there. So next up is Walmart. This again just dropped yesterday. This is Walmart this is reported originally by Recode, but they're looking to launch a kind of Amazon Prime competitor in July. It's going to be less expensive on a per year basis as opposed to Prime, $98 as opposed to, I believe, around $112 for Prime right now. I mean, the big question is, right, are people going to pony up for both? What's going to be, essentially the rollout structure? What are going to be the perks? So there's a lot of what ifs here, but, throwing it over the panel, kind of what you guys feel are, maybe the larger takeaways for sellers here.
I'll take this one. So definitely big news for sellers, especially as you're looking to diversify, kind of transitioning off that topic there. I know, could it get more loyalty, kind of what we're seeing on the Prime side with Amazon when they launched it, for example. So right now, actually, Prime has 150 million subscribers, but Walmart is seeing that more than half of the top spending families have these Prime memberships already. So the question is, will they be paying for both? So price point is lower, some perks that, we're speculating with is grocery fulfillment. It could be a big driver just because of their superstores and their ability there on the store side. And then also some other perks include discounts on gas, early access to even like in-store deals, perhaps online. They were also testing out a scan and go setup where similar with what Amazon was doing with their cashierless stores there. Could they bring that back and give that perk to subscribers to their Walmart Plus membership. But on the grocery delivery side, like they're definitely set up to handle that. But the question is, with COVID right now, people are struggling to find time slots for delivery. Could this premium subscription here, give you better time slots? So, that could be definitely a possibility. And then also, they definitely have that bigger grocery program. So kind of seeing how that goes head to head with Whole Foods, especially as Amazon has that acquired. And also, I think Walmart can really take advantage of their physical locations with Walmart Plus and more added perks, kind of what Amazon was doing with Whole Foods, having those in-store discounts and featuring deals there for Prime members there. But also there's a question around will Walmart launch a video program similar to Prime Video there? That's huge. I know a lot of the subscribers find that as a big added perk on the Amazon side. So, will they launch a program there? They're actually, they announced earlier that they're launching an online family entertainment program called Camp by Walmart. So it's like online video technology. So, maybe they'll build off of that. This could be a test perhaps. So a lot of, different areas they could, provide these subscribers with and added perks. So really curious about, what this means for Prime members. Will we see, them also buy the subscription? Will they maybe switch over because it's a little cheaper? So really curious how this pans out.
Yeah, it's interesting, Megan. You covered it a little bit there. Walmart is trying to differentiate the offerings a little bit from what Amazon is. Walmart's offering the fuel discounts where they've got gas stations in front of Walmart as part of this as well. And so they're trying not to go head to head on the perks. So it's interesting that they saw Prime Video as such an important piece to that. I think what will be interesting is this is providing Walmart an opportunity for one of the very first times to really get into cities with the delivery. Walmart is, kind of more suburban, rural areas and is not in cities because you just don't have those big box stores in really concentrated areas like New York and places like that. So it'll be interesting, again, as Megan said, like, are people seeing the perks of Walmart's differentiated enough from Amazon to justify both? We saw this happen with streaming services with Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and Prime, and people often adopted one or two of those, obviously at a much cheaper price point, at least monthly. Walmart's even talking about charging this not on a yearly basis, but spreading it out monthly, maybe to make it more accessible up front to families. So it'll be interesting whether or not it's justified as both, but it's definitely going to help provide Walmart access to, more urban markets.
Yeah, I think the grocery part here is also a big potential driver. I mean, Megan, you talked about it, but right, having those physical locations where you can essentially do a more streamlined grocery pickup potentially, right? That's a big driver. So yeah, we'll see how this shakes out, but definitely I think, Laura, a great point that it's like they're trying to make it not just a copycat Amazon Prime, they're trying to make it their own thing, but with elements of Prime that they do know have worked. So I think definitely something to watch, and definitely something that, again, kind of speaks to what we're looking for at Walmart when it comes to just, matching Amazon and being a real competitor with Amazon. So next, kind of want to go into big style sale and some of the takeaways from that. This was, again, for those of you that weren't aware, I mean, and if you're not in the clothing space, maybe you weren't, which was that this is a sale, a kind of substitute essentially for Prime Day that they ran exclusively for fashion brands over the course of a week. It was June 22nd through June 29th. The idea behind this seems to be that because clothing especially got the short end of the stick when it came to when Amazon was prioritizing some of the items during the height of COVID, that they wanted to give them something, those sellers, something to hang their hat on kind of in the wake of this, even after that kind of calmed down a little bit. And so I want to point out that what was really interesting, this is some data that we actually just dropped earlier today, this was a continuation of kind of some long-standing trends that we've been seeing. It wasn't that Amazon began the sale and that immediately drove people back to buying clothing on Amazon. This had been building over the past couple months as, again, some of these supply chain issues maybe ironed themselves out, as, again, some of the shipping times when you looked at fulfillment, which may have been 2, 3, 4 weeks potentially back in March or early April, now went down to, maybe a more respectable few days, that shoppers have been coming back. They've been coming back. We were seeing this again. You're seeing, as compared to a March benchline, or baseline rather, you're seeing that, you're seeing 100% increase in terms of ad-derived sales by the month of May, and that was tracking above by mid-June. So as long as you're on and you saw this, and this is data that, again, is not, we're not even releasing this yet. This is exclusive to this particular webinar. We're going to be releasing this starting next week. But we're looking specifically at clothing and shoes and jewelry related keywords. So this is several thousand different keywords over the course of several months. And let's look at the performance of those over time. Now, what you can see is, again, where did the sales, ad-derived sales peak? It actually peaked the week before the sale event. So you could chalk this up to a lot of factors, right? That sale event began kind of circulating in things like Cosmo, Retail Dive, etc., in the weeks, I mean, we're talking even like a month prior to the sale actually happening, that may have been an indication to some customers that, oh, actually, wait, I can go back to Amazon and buy some clothes there and get them in a reasonable amount of time. So you see, right, as we saw in the previous graph, there were people going to Amazon, buying clothes even prior to the sales event, so it may have been an additive but not a catalyst necessarily for this activity. And then, right, you see that the sale actually happens, and sales remained high, but they started actually dipping down from that high that you saw earlier. So, you know, what was different about this is a little different than what you've seen in prior sales events. So something like Prime Day, what we noticed last year Prime Day was that even products that were not discounted saw huge sales lifts. Even products that had no discounts from prior months. This is a little different because the sale was it was a landing page with specific deals. It seems likely, and just judging by the data here, that right, people were going there. If there's a deal, maybe they probably would buy it, but they're not searching the rest of the site, filling up their baskets quite as much as usual as you'd expect, again, with a more Prime Day focused event. So this points to a couple of things. One is that Amazon has still a huge degree of retail cloud. Obviously, no secret, but that right, they're able to potentially, even with the prospect of a sale, keep driving demand even in advance of that event. And then additionally, what you're seeing is folks are willing, right? They go back to Amazon even in the face of, right, people thought, well, oh, people are seeing these huge shipping delays. Are they even going to come back to Amazon? People are coming back to Amazon. That's what this data shows. So, and you can see even CPCs remained largely flat over those 2 months, which is kind of also an interesting trend in terms of like that activity, even essentially keeping pace with that increase in advertiser activity. So some good stuff there. And again, keep your eyes out for this report. It'll be coming out in full with some additional data points and additional context next week. So moving on, speaking of Prime Day, look at that great transition. So this is a piece that dropped again late last week, which was kind of some leaked emails showing that to some sellers, right, that Prime Day is going to be, originally I think they were looking at September, now it's looking like October, according to some of these emails. So again, kind of kicking over to the panel, what should maybe sellers be thinking about? Again, you know, they knew it wasn't going to be in July, but this is pushing it a little further. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think logistics has been the biggest thing for sellers and vendors since March. First, Amazon was only placing purchase orders and fulfilling for essentials, and then many retailers ran into stock issues where you know, manufacturers were shut down, and so they weren't getting proper stock. They weren't able to refill quite as quickly. Maybe their own warehouses had delayed or reduced staff because of COVID regulations. And so that's kind of been one of the biggest themes and hiccups of brands on Amazon this year. And so that's probably the biggest thing to prepare for and be cautious of heading into preparing for Prime Day. Do you have the inventory for the products that you want to place on discount or on deals? For those other products that you're advertising, maybe not at a discount, they'll still likely receive a halo effect, so making sure that you're prepared on those as well. One thing to be aware of when you're reviewing last year's data is don't expect to see year-over-year comps for July. Don't expect to see year-over-year comps for October. October spend you need to anticipate to be higher. July spend, hopefully you shifted that budget last year that you spent on Prime forward to October. So just be aware when you're reflecting on your performance this year that both budgeting and sales are going to look quite a bit different. Amazon did say that they do not anticipate, or theory is that they do not anticipate delaying this anymore, as it'll bump up against the holiday season. Even now they're saying, if we're doing Prime Day at the beginning of October, are people going to be looking forward to Q4 enough, or I guess where they are in Q4, looking forward to the holidays enough that you're not going to see that same lift Cyber Weekend because they've purchased some of those gifts in October. So it's interesting what cannibalization may occur due to this later Prime Day and what impact that might have later in the year. So keep in mind budgets, keep in mind your year-over-year comps, and then just really focus on making sure that you've got that stock and those logistics worked out for something that's so quick where you're having Prime Day and then you're turning around and having Cyber Weekend. Kelsey, Megan, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, one thing to add to that as well with the later Prime Day, especially if you have products that aren't typically, heavy hitters on Prime Day, thinking like electronics, countertop appliances, things that people typically wait to purchase on Prime Day. We typically see, as Andrew kind of pointed to, that impressions across the board go up. People tend to just be on the site more and browsing more. And DSP is actually a great opportunity to take advantage of those viewers if they haven't purchased and get them in that next buying cycle. So if people are using that October Prime Day as more of a prep to look around and see what they might end up purchasing around Cyber Weekend, using DSP as a way to leverage retargeting or going after competitor page views, DSP is going to be a really great way to do that. And it's kind of a given that you'll have that impression volume increase if Prime Day is in early October. So if DSP is not a part of your ad plan for Q4, definitely something worth considering.
Great. Yeah, I think just definitely something to keep an eye on, but I think there's some awesome points there in terms of what, it's going to look very different than the usual Prime Day for sure. So with that, I kind of want to get into some of these questions that we had at the back end, and again, we'll get it through as many of these as we can kind of in the next, 8-9 minutes. So this is something that we've been hearing, again, and kind of something that you guys touched on just now, but a lot of businesses, they're already thinking about Q4. And you got to be right. When you hit summer, you're thinking 2 quarters ahead. So what are good steps that maybe you wanted to be taking now? Just get yourself ready for this Q4 push. I mean, right, you're going to have, like we talked about, you're going to have Prime Day and Black Friday and Cyber Monday kind of in this huge, big stretch there. What's maybe some things that folks should be thinking about?
Yeah, so before you even get to the advertising piece, I always want to do a plug. Make sure your detail pages, including your enhanced brand content, your images, your titles, everything is optimized. We can drive through ads, people to yours all day long, but if it doesn't have the information, if it doesn't have the content, if it doesn't look quality or really as verified as it needs to, you're going to have a lower conversion rate than you likely deserve. So make sure that's cleaned up. That's one of the earliest things that you can be doing and is critical. Like, again, if you're spending ad dollars, make sure that you're getting the conversion once they're there. There's no use in driving and then having them fall off once they get on there. Make sure you're addressing any concerns with poor reviews, like make sure you're providing feedback. We've updated the product since then or whatever that might be. Again, Amazon is one of those kind of, it's not the research space like Google is. We always said Best Buy was the Amazon showroom, things like that. So Amazon is not as much of an educational place. It's more of a purchase place, which is great for retailers, but make sure you're using that enhanced brand content, your product detail pages, your bullets appropriately to educate your customers where you can. Next, understand the competitive space as it currently stands. There will certainly be new changes and brands that emerge or will arise as more aggressive than they normally are, but make sure you're aware of who they are and how you differentiate. So is it price point? Is it quality? Is it certain features that you can make sure you're targeting in keywords? And then use those, as Kelsey just said, through Prime Day, like use those to your advantage. Amazon is one of the few places that you can really identify which customers are interacting with your competitors and retarget them through DSP, through pack campaigns and things like that. The same goes for complementary products. If you sell bed sheets and you notice that somebody bought a mattress during Prime Day, make sure that you are targeting them down the road for those bed sheets. They just bought a new mattress, maybe in a different size and need those. So watch out not only for your competitors, but your complementary products. Next, as we're kind of narrowing down on time, of course, Q4 is ever quickly approaching. Make sure your structure is cleaned up. You've got all your negatives in place. And then my biggest thing is make sure you're updating your budgets. This is my cardinal sin. Do not cap out on your budgets. Do not stop running your ads at noon. You're losing so many customers and opportunities for them to see your product. If you are, I'm a broken record every webinar, if you are hitting your budgets, make sure you are tightening up on your bids so your budget is lasting longer, and you're getting more efficient returns for the budget you do have if it's limited. But definitely make sure you're updating those going into Prime Day, going into Cyber Weekend, because that will definitely increase. I'm sure Megan and Kelsey have some things to add, so I'll hand it over.
One more recommendation we'd give is also looking at brand analytics. So those who are brand registered have access to this tool now, and basically you can look at historical search data. So actually going back to that Q4 in 2019, what was that, the highest volume? You can look at click share there as well to see, really who you're competing against for those as well. So a super powerful tool where you can actually go back in time and see what was going on the customer side as well.
And I'll just throw in as the voice of diversification today. Amazon is great for Q4, but don't forget about other e-com platforms as well. So if you do have a Shopify seller account and you can integrate with Walmart, or you're already on Walmart and you're not advertising, don't sleep on that, because I'm sure Q4 will be a big one for Walmart as well as Amazon.
Great. All awesome stuff. Love it. All right. So next question is, my supply chain is recovering. This is something that we're hearing from a lot of sellers. But how aggressive should these folks be, and maybe what are some good strategies as kind of retaining maybe or getting back to some semblance of normalcy on the supply chain side? Maybe again some thoughts around there, or maybe some examples that any of you folks can share.
If it's more so like an existing product that was impacted by the supply chain, you can almost treat it like a relaunch, like a brand new product. So that could be something to help regain sales rank, especially if that's important for that category or subcategory that you're in. And also making sure you have enough stock there so you don't run into those stockouts again, pacing it appropriately. So advertising can definitely be used as a lever to speed that up or slow it down.
And keep in mind, depending on how long that product was out of stock, if you're using pretty much literally any bidding platform, make sure that you are adding in that additional boost. Depending on how long you were out of stock, again, you likely lost the majority of your historical look back window. And so the system does not have as much information to with a statistical significance base your bid. So it is likely that you will need to be a bit more aggressive in order to get jump started, just like any brand new product.
Great. So I know we're just about out of time. So I think we'll skip the last question here, but we'll just want to point out again that infographic that we talked about earlier. Definitely feel free to check it out. Again, it's at learn.teikametrics.com. That's our blog. You can check it out there. Again, we have over 10 verticals in there, and looking at, again, percent change as compared to March. So you can kind of see how some verticals continue to grow kind of over the ensuing months, and some verticals leveled off. So when you get a bunch of different metrics there. So again, a good resource, at least directionally show. This is not something where you should be like, well, if I'm not matching it, what does this mean? It's a good idea to see, again, how your overall vertical is moving, and are you outpacing it in some respects? Are you underpacing in some respects? And maybe what you can do to kind of make slight adjustments. So again, a good resource, but something to just keep in mind. And we'll be, again, doing additional research over the course of the rest of the year. So keep an eye out for that. But again, we're just about at time, even 2 minutes under. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.